Hey guys, 707 here. Hey, I'm actually gonna come up with a new idea per se this week. So, within the last week or two, I've actually been trying to attempt to make a almost like a rolling cart to be able to make with no money invested from stuff that we had laying around the shop that I could build to take to the junkyard with me. Um, so what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to kind of try to describe kind of how I got everything set up, and I'm also going to bring up some of the faults that I've also come across. Unfortunately, this didn't work out as easy as I thought it was going to, and it's actually currently still broken. So I need to figure out what's going on with that now and come up with game plan number two. Um, but long story short, we had it's a set of four lawnmower tires that looked like it may have been from a riding lawnmower at one point, maybe, um, or something on those lines. And it was an old table that we had that was it was a junk table. And most of it is wooden, but the topping of the table was primarily wood with a piece of sheet steel across it. Found a couple pieces of rebar, some aluminum tubing that I found laying around. Found a wheel bearing that didn't belong with any of the cars that we had on our fleet as of right now. So I pretty much took a bunch of different things, threw them together, and hoped it work. So let me actually put up a couple pictures so you can kind of see what I got going on for round one. So that kind of gives you an idea of my main layout. But unfortunately, the handle option that I thought was a good idea, unfortunately, didn't work so well. Um, I went to go weld it to the wheel bearing itself, which is what actually turns the front wheels so they can pivot when you hold the handle. And when I welded it on, no matter how hot, how much wire I had feed, stuff like that I was welding it on, it actually would melt the studs completely off the wheel bearing. So I decided to say, okay, maybe my handle that I came up with is just too heavy. So that was one thing that I did have to fabricate a different way. And I also had an issue with in a nice way of putting it, my rear axle. Um, on the back end of it, it was very solid and planted to the actual base itself. But the problem that I ran into is it wasn't solid, meaning that the set of wheels could literally go underneath the base, they could fall out the back, so on and so forth. So I improvised by putting a piece of rebar to the back axle and actually putting it towards the middle of the actual platform. Well, unfortunately, as of today, I went to go out and go to the junkyard with it after running it through the parking lot, and everything seemed good. There was just one little hookup. So I fixed that up real quick. Me and my buddy Nova decided to throw it into the bed of my truck. And I'm like, all right, cool. Tomorrow I'm going to hit the junkyard. We're going to test this thing. This thing's going to be great. This thing's going to be awesome. And so me and another one of my buddies, we we actually went out to the junkyard today because Nova unfortunately wasn't available. And everything was good. We showed up. The handle was real nice and solid, which I did end up using a screwdriver I actually found at the junkyard. Um, so that was actually quite an easy handle idea. Plus, I really don't use it. I used to use it as a hood prop, but I actually bought the tool for it now. But I did put that as my handle for it. The wheels turned really nicely, very clean, smooth. Everything felt really good with it. So when we got to the junkyard, we dropped the tailgate and we pulled the front of the cart down. Well, everything was good. Well, then that's where the problem actually started to lie. The piece of rebar that I had to actually support the rear axle from preventing it from buckling under its own weight actually came out from the platform. So unfortunately, the way that I mounted it wasn't all that great. So now I got to come up with plan B to do such task, which I am in the process of seeing if I can get the right piece of the scrap metal to do what I want to do. Once I get that all situated, it should be a piece of cake. But those were just two little hookups that I came across. But otherwise, this platform's actually very large. I do have the wheels underneath the platform. It is about 32 inches in width. And it comes out to about, if I remember right, I believe it was about 53 inches in length. It's actually a pretty heavy freaking thing. Did all kinds of different things with it. But again, there's a couple different downfalls that I came up with, so I'm actually in the midst of trying to fix that now. So hopefully, probably not anymore, because it's actually getting quite cold here in PA. But it'll be something I'll have to kind of tinker with to get ready to go, and then we'd be able to take it to the junkyard again. Hopefully this time it doesn't fall the hell apart before I even get it off the truck. But here are some of the pictures of the final of what I did have thus far, until I get it actually resecured and everything. Now this thing, when it was working well, I actually sat on it and rode it downhill, which surprisingly actually handled really nicely. The only downside is, because of all the weight, it's very hard to steer the damn thing. It's also next to impossible to stop the damn thing once it gets going. But it is a very heavy piece of equipment. Let's put it that way. Again, this whole thing cost me nothing. I paid absolutely nothing for this. But here are some of the pictures, again, of what it is right now. Again, without the actual secondary fix for that rear axle. I did also just want to throw in a kind of just a rough idea of how the front axle is working. So I'll throw a quick video up of that too. But this pretty much sums up the video. If you guys feel free to subscribe, please leave a like. And any comments, please just message me, let me know. Or you can put it right up on the video page, right down below. Appreciate you guys for watching. Thank you. Hey guys, so here's a progress report. So we got our wheel bearing attached right to a solid pine wood platform with some metal reassurance down at the bottom. It's just real thin stuff, no big deal. But check this out. So we got wheels that spin together, right? And we got the disco! Woo, look at that shit! Man, this is coming out so good.